going to talk this morning about tuning forks, and which would fall in the category of vibrational healing. Some people are even using the term vibrational medicine, where to get away from pharmaceuticals, which is always a good thing. But what were we given is tools to heal ourselves and as practitioners to help other people as well. So what we're going to do this morning is the frequency for the brain is about 319 hertz, and the musical tone is E. So what we'll do is just give the sound of what that sounds like first. And so you can see if I just turn a little bit, the sound is going to be different. And even tilting it, it changes.
I don't know if they can hear that.
Yeah, you may not pick up on that, but if you work with tuning forks or you're receiving a treatment, you'll definitely feel the difference. So the pitch, which is the frequency starting to bend and move a little bit, plays within a little bit of a few hertz here and there. So what I'm going to do with Hannah this morning is pick an area of the brain that I think may be not at optimal frequency. And it's like tuning a piano, basically. Each organ of the body has a very specific frequency. So this morning we're going to work with the brain. And first what I'm going to do is just kind of work on the crown chakra up in here and see if I hit anything that's sensitive to you as far as uncomfortable, let me know.
You mean like you're going to make me cry?
Oh,
or like actual physical sensitive?
Yeah, so I mean, is there any sensitivity?
He's made me cry before, y'all. It's not I mean in a good way.
In a release way.
In a release
Now
way.
that's, to me, seems really extremely tight. So the crown chakra, the top of the head, you know, when we're born, that area is really soft, and then the cranial bones start to close in, and then we end up with this really small soft spot up here where there's also a suture up here, a cranial suture right up in here where I'm at.
What's a suture? Where the two bones?
Suture, yeah, the bones cross
together?
over, they come together and eventually fuse together. And there's a lot of connective tissue fascia that comes off those sutures that go to very different parts of the brain that affect different functions of the brain.
No kidding.
So fans of John Upledger and cranial suture release is really good, or John Barnes' myofascial release, addressing the fascia itself and releasing that by hanging out in the cranial sutures for a little while. With very light touch, you can make some major changes in what's going on.
Wow. So you're finding, guys, he's just pushing. You can see his hand. Maybe you see his hand. You can leave your hand there. I just wanted to show them where put your hand where you were just touching, John, so you can show them.
Yeah, so I'm right up on the crown. There's a little soft spot up there.
Towards the very back. The crown apparently is the very back of my head. And you're on the left side more than the right. Is there a reason for that? Or is that just
that's
how
where,
I'm sitting?
So
what if I sit straight?
Feel the difference here versus here. Can you tell that that's raised up higher towards the ceiling than right in there?
Can you do it again? This
Okay,
side
so
versus this side? This side feels higher.
It's actually the left side's higher.
It's the opposite. Okay,
Yeah.
this is why I'm not going to attempt to do this on myself. Because obviously I got it backwards. Okay, so you're feeling a soft spot in there?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm on what we call the crown chakra, and then I'm going to put the tuning fork on where I feel it needs opening up a little bit, that the energy is restricted, blood flow is probably a little bit less than what we'd like. So how to use these is really listening, as a practitioner, really listen to the tone. And when you first start out, it may have a dull sound, low intensity, and then all of a sudden start to increase. And you'll just very gently move it around to tune the area that needs to work. So see, that went to a very dull sound. Goes a little higher when I move it.
And should I be doing anything?
You just relax.
Should I be relaxing?
Yeah, just
really
kind of check into your, visualize the inside of your brain.
Okay.
And it's like you're dialing a radio in your car. The station's a little out of tune, and we in tune. So you're visualizing you're turning that dial to get optimal sound so you can pick up that song you really want to hear on the radio. And do it again. There's that dull sound again.
It's like it drops. It's like it goes muffled. I don't know if they're going to be able to hear this yet, but it sounds like it went muffled, guys. Like
it did.
Put a sheet over it or something like it.
There, now it's holding it.
And you're just touching the base of that to my head, and then cleaning it?
Yeah.
Clanging it, whatever the word is.
And then I just turned it and the frequency went up. So now, when you have that sound that's not high pitched, which it's easier for the human hearing to pick up, what you want to do is just move the tuning fork around, rotate it, tilt it, and you're going to pick up. There we go. And what you feel is it's starting, you feel the vibration going through deeper into the body. Relax your jaw.
You feel that going through your body?
Yeah.
Really?
So when it starts, you may be barely feeling it up there, but as the frequency picks up, and for musicians that go, well, that's not an E sound that I'm looking for in music out of an instrument. The other thing you can do if you want to work in the energy field outside the body, which I'm going to do in a second when this tunes down, is we're going to flip the tuning fork upside down and use the top to scan the energy field outside of her body and pick up out there some inconsistencies in the sound. Okay. Okay, you can hear it change. The right, the sound goes down, right, the left side, a little higher pitch. Went a little higher over here. Her hair standing up. It's like antennas, receptor site, because even in our hair follicles, I believe information's transmitted through our hair follicles.
So my hair stood up, it was standing up?
Yeah, right, just on this
this
right side over here, I got two of them that are staying up and vibrating and moving within the tuning fork range. Very interesting.
What does that mean?
Right side of your brain is more active than your left, apparently. If we did a brain scan, it might show that. And that can, that gets into a whole lot of sciences of the brain. That could be very complicated, but from an energy standpoint.
Okay. It's not because I'm left-handed. They say if you're left-handed, you're right brain dominant.
You're using right brain, yeah.
And if you're right-handed, you're left brain dominant. But I've also heard people say that's crap, so I don't know.
I think we have to look at the operator of the brain myself, because I don't want to generalize with, I try to stay away from generalities and work with a person that's with me, it's like, you tell me.
It's so good.
There, now it's picking up quite a bit more to the left now. Now close your eyes, and in a second I'm going to have you open one at a time and see the difference. So first, now open your left eye, pick a visual point straight ahead. Okay, now check your right eye open only. Pick a visual point. Keep those consistent. Okay, now close both eyes. I'm going to tune the area, and I want you to tell me what you notice different. She had a good reflex that went down all her spinal cord there for a second if you got to pick up subtleties in motion. Now open just your left eye, same focal point. And now your right eye. Do you notice anything different?
left eye feels a little brighter, like around the target.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I did notice my toes were starting to tingle when you did that last ring.
Yeah, you had a reflex all the way through your spinal cord. Okay, so we're going to do that again. So close both eyes, and we're going to check your eyes again one more time. And anybody that's had head traumas, they really like this because it helps quite a bit. Hannah and I both have experienced head traumas, and so this is very, very beneficial for anybody that's had head injuries. You know, the bruising of that nice liquid sponge. When there's brain trauma, there's areas of the brain that lose liquidity, and in my case, from a really bad car accident, my brain was squished up into a portion of the skull, the shell that holds the brain. And when I went to a very interesting practitioner, Dr. Bruno Chickley, when he was teaching a seminar on brain lymphatic drainage, 10 minutes he did some techniques with me, and I felt my brain pop back out to where I felt like it belongs. And I had to go lay down for about 45 minutes because I just could not really get going. I was just so lethargic and very, very relaxed. Okay, now
wow,
left eye.
Okay.
And right eye. Okay.
They actually feel more like the same.
Okay, so
The right eye's a little
yeah,
better.
initially we woke up that left side of the brain to be more vibrant, like in color and focus. Now it seems like it's a little more balanced. What I'm going to do is one more time, let's treat the center of the crown chakra again. Okay. So go ahead and face forward there for a second. Okay. Close your eyes.
I also, just for experimental purposes, need to tell them, I have a ring light. We have a ring light set up around the camera, and so that you guys can see our eyes better while he's talking. And I'm seeing like reflections of that when I look away. So I'm getting lots of that feedback. I don't know how that may be adjusting, changing the eye.
Yeah, it definitely is going to a little bit.
So every time I blink, I see the white ring light flashing in front of me. So just so you know, I don't know how that's going to change things, but if this is a little experiment, I'm messing it up.
And when you're using tuning forks, try to hold them in place as long as you can barely hear it and even feel it delicately in your fingers holding the tuning fork itself. What I find is, you know, that first sound is very, very strong and it really sends a lot of energy. I think that last subtle vibration, it's a different kind of surge. It's very, very powerful. The lighter the touch, the deeper the experience, which would be how I would word it. I can still feel energy going through. I can barely hear it myself. Now I feel like the tuning fork wants to move on its own in a vibrational circle. Interesting. So that would be the energy in the crown chakra in that field. So it's still giving effect. Still I feel a lot of energy coming off now. Kind of that feeling. And then when you pull the tuning fork away from anywhere in the body, go very, very slowly. And if you feel like it's pulling back in, stay there. It's like it didn't want me to go. It said, no, stay there a little longer. You're still getting very gentle vibrations.
And is that from my body?
That's your body saying, it's your body.
Pushing it up?
your body's energy is saying, "Oh, you can give me a little more there. I'm not done with you yet."
Huh.
Which that's like, okay.
Because I can't hear any sound from
Yeah,
it at all.
yeah. It's there. You know, there's so much healing in the subtlety. Our cognitive part of the brain wants to go into analytics about it, but the spirit part of our brain is the wisdom speaking, saying, "No, I'm not done with you yet. Stay in there. I'm getting more benefit." Which is the part that doesn't need to be, or may not even be able to be even explained.
Right. How long of you practicing would you say that it took for you to get to the place where you could feel that, like my head pulling it back towards me and that subtlety?
Well, in my training with myofascial release with John Barnes, we're constantly reminded, lighter touch, hang out. So it's one of those things where the ego says, make it happen, cause and effect. What we learned with that training is don't think, sink into the experience and let it happen. Get the ego out of the way, which Wayne Dyer always said stands for edge God out. We get out of the analytics and get into our spirit space, which is obviously much more beneficial for true healing, in my opinion. So that helped me to be more in tune and not thinking about what's going on, but feeling what's going on, and trust it and go with it. And so I think with any natural healing phase for all practitioners, the less you think and the more you feel and trust what you're doing, the quieter voice, your spirit voice, God's voice saying, hang out, wait even a little bit longer than what your brain's telling me, which is natural training. So then now I'm going to treat the field above again and see. Now what I'm hearing is more balance when I'm going around than before.
The sound's not dropping.
Yeah, there you go.
Like
good.
Before it just all of a sudden went in places.
Yeah, so that's when you start with the tuning forks and you're treating an area that you know that doesn't feel good or take an O out, doesn't feel God in your body. That dull sound is just telling you you're not in tune yet, and so you stay with the treatment with the tuning forks until you feel it come in. Now check your focal points one more time.
Yeah, I'm noticing that my eyes haven't wanted to open since that time that you held that on for a long time.
Yeah.
For some reason, there's just been this, like, I don't know, blanket over my brain. But you want me to do the eye thing again? Okay,
yeah, one more time, just see.
Left eye. Wow, it feels a lot brighter for some reason.
Okay.
And it's not the ring light effect.
Yeah, because you've been away from it long enough.
And the right one doesn't have a lot of change.
Okay.
The left one feels brighter again. And when I say brighter, it's around that focal point.
Yeah, okay.
But this one for some reason is like a couple of shades duller than that.
So our brain will adjust back and forth. The other thing is too, is I would say we'll take some time and maybe pick some points on the spinal column that feel like they need some work. I didn't bring the bone tuning fork, but I want to do that with you another time. I want to do the spine itself because of head trauma, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the brain. The brain attaches to the back of the cerebellum back here, and the spinal cord runs down. Yeah. And so the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. When we have head trauma, it's not just the brain, it's not just the bones of the face and the skull. There's the trauma that travels down the spinal cord, out through the peripheral nerves, into the rest of the body that are affected. And so I find with an osteo tuning fork, which is very different than these, they have even a little weight on them and you can dial it manually, move it up and down. So we'll treat the actual bones, and we'll probably find a couple vertebrae in there comparatively to others that the sound is very, very different, where you may even have when I had it done to myself, what I felt first was pain in one vertebrae, and it was a very dull ache, like a bad toothache. And the practitioner kept going around that vertebrae, and then even went off my spinal column away a few inches and flipped the tuning fork around and waved it, and you could hear this very distinct area that in my body was even moving and vibrating, and it was weird.
Wow.
So our bones store a lot of energy in the bone marrow, in the cartilage that protects it, you know, the smooth cartilage. Then we get into the nerves themselves coming out from the vertebrae that have their own injury as well. So yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to try the bone.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Yeah, that's the next one. But this is cool. You guys, I've never had a tuning like this done before. My brain feels a little bit lighter. Like my hands, my arms feel a little bit more tingly and lighter, and I feel lighter but settled, like grounded in an interesting way. I was a little like frenzied coming in after a, you know, hot morning, and now it just, there's like a peace about it. You probably can feel that energetically. I can't feel it. I'm not the super in tune one, so I'm a good example of if Hannah can feel it, then obviously it's pretty obvious. But yeah, there's like a calm that I do sense.
Yeah, you'll probably notice that her voice is a little bit slower. It's the pitch is not changing as much. I've picked up on that. Okay. And the other thing for people that are watching, you might notice that the brilliance in her eyes is different. There's a little more shine in there in both eyes than when we started.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, because
that's amazing.
I know, well, think about this. If you have a headache, and if you look in a mirror, there's the brightness is not there. It's kind of not really a shininess to the eye, you know, which is like looking at a crystal, clear crystal.
Yeah.
You know, it's really got that nice shine to it.
Yeah.
And then come back and look in the mirror when your headache's gone. Where if you just for 5 minutes just close your eyes and really get into your breathing, and then you go, okay, I feel better. Go look in the mirror, you'll see a difference. That old saying, you know, well, the lights are back on. There's a lot of truth to that. You know, when you work with crystal bowls, tuning forks, drumming, other forms of vibration, then we'll be on another video, an intro about that. When you look at somebody's eyes, you see the brilliance back in there. Their voice doesn't sound distressed, it sounds quieter, more peaceful, a little slower.
Right.
And then when we look at movement in somebody, you see a dramatic change in how their body's moving. Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I feel different. I feel more relaxed, grounded. Like I said, my hands are tingling. So
okay, good.
I'll be curious to see how long this lasts, but I'm sure people have a million questions about the tuning forks. If they want to put questions into the comments, I bet you'll jump back and
I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Like, I have a billion questions. I don't know if you guys do. We won't take the time to answer them right now, probably. But can anyone do this? Where should you go to find a practitioner? What are they called? Can you do it on yourself? How long does it take to learn to do it? Those are the questions that I would have. I don't know if it's quick for you to answer those, or if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'll answer a couple of them what I can right now. First, I'll just say that I've used different manufacturers, and I like Biosonics, B-I-O Sonics, plural.
You want me to show that?
Yeah, and then, so you can pick that up close enough.
Can you guys see that? I don't know if it's focusing for you or not. It says Biosonics right across.
Yeah, so if you
here.
go to biosonics.com, and the
Biosonics, okay.
The practitioner was a physicist and then became a naturopath in upstate New York. Dr. John Bellew, I'm probably saying his name wrong, I apologize for that. He has a book called Healing Touch, and it has tuning forks in there. That's a great book to read. If you're going to buy tuning forks, I would get them from this company, because the other ones that I've used, the sound was a little off, and I think they had more alloys in the metal. It just, I don't know. These are very clean sounding. They feel different when I use these versus other ones, so I definitely like these. As far as training, I would look at his videos that he has on his website, how to use tuning forks. I'll probably do a video that goes into more detail about how to use them and where to go as far as finding practitioners and stuff like that, because there aren't enough people using these. Osteopaths, for a long time, were using them quite a bit in their practice. And unfortunately, osteopaths are being swallowed up as general practitioners because of the lack of MDs becoming less and less in our healthcare system. So they're having to fill in the gaps, nurse practitioners fill in the gaps, which I'm really glad to see, that diversity and training and experience to help other people, more natural based. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, please send them in and I'll try to answer them back as soon as possible.
Okay, so write your comments below. He'll do other videos about tuning forks, and then we'll keep experimenting with them. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Healing John.
All right.
Healing with John. All right. Have a great day, everyone.